Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to invite you to take your seats. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for being here. Thanks to all of those who are here today, and I would also like to thank all of those who are connected online. We need to be really on time and be respectful for all of those who decided to join in online. So I would like to thank you all for being here. I would like to thank Poble Espanyol for having offered this wonderful venue and having helped us in the organization of this event. And I would like to ask Jordi Campins to welcome us all on behalf of Poble Espanyol. Jordi, you have the floor. Thank you. Thank you very much, Pau. Thank you all. When I was coming here, some of you said that, well, I hadn't been to the Poble Espanyol for the last 20 years. I was here for a concert and so on and so forth. Well, since then, the Poble Espanyol has changed substantially. This is an example of public-private management in which topics such as education and culture are highly reflected. At the moment, we have a significant contemporary art collection in Fran Daurel Foundation, and all these activities have provided a highly significant support. It is also true that out of the 1 million visitors a year that we have at Poble Espanyol, 65% of them are foreigners, basically tourists. However, the current situation will bring the opportunity to help the locals come closer to Poble Espanyol. I hope that citizens of Barcelona are as happy as they usually are when they come back to Poble Espanyol. And let's hope they continue to be so. And I would also like to make available to you and to other corporations this venue to host all kinds of events. We are extremely happy to welcome the association in a day such as today. It's not my place to say this, however, I would like to thank Pau Guardans for his wonderful job in his position, and now comes a new challenge for all of us. We need to face the new situation which is opening up for all of us. So I would like to encourage you all to thank you for being here, and I wish the best for the Barcelona Global Association. Thank you. Thank you very much, Jordi, for your kind words. Let's begin the session. It will, for those who are not from Barcelona, it will evolve in Spanish and in Catalan, and there is also simultaneous translation into English for those who need it. So let's begin with the agenda. We will start by approving the minutes of the previous event and to make a couple of announcements regarding that. The first item, says the Secretary Enrique Picañol, is approving the minutes of the prior meeting. As on the one hand, we have some members who are present, all of you, and other members who are meeting online. The voting system will be similar to what we usually use here. If you do not agree with the minutes or if you have any comments, please take the floor. If nobody asks for the floor, we will take it that everyone present is voting in favor, and then we will wait for about half a minute so that those who are connected online will have the opportunity to vote themselves. So, the first item on the agenda would be the approval of the minutes is now submitted to a vote. Anyone in the room or online would like to make any comments? I don't know if the votes are being published online. Votes in favor, votes against, well, 20. Votes against, none. Let's wait for a little bit longer. given the fact that with the current quorum, we need to wait. We don't have 50% of the members here in person, so we will wait for a little bit longer. Now we have enough votes in favor, because I've seen your votes here as well reflected on the screen. So the agenda is passed, and the minutes of the previous meetings are passed as well. Our chairperson said that the secretary has got an announcement to make. This is the last time that I'm going to be addressing you from this position, because I don't intend to submit my candidacy to replace Aurora, and I don't dare to replace Mateo either. I wouldn't even dream to do so. So after a while, having been the secretary of this association, I think it's time to give, to make room for the new president. That I will be. I will submit my resignation to her, and let me say that it's been a pleasure to have worked with you for all this time. Before we move on to the second point in the item in the agenda, let me thank the Secretary for his successful contribution to the organization over these years. Let's move on now to the changes in the bylaws. Let's inform the members that these changes are hardly significant. One of them, as you know, we have changed our premises. From Diagonal 539, we are now currently in Travesera de Gracia, number 17. This is a change of the address of the association. The second change in the bylaws is that now that the association is growing, as we will hear, we have reached the nice figure of 1,000 members, and we are proposing to increase the members of the executive committee up to 20. Doesn't mean that we will have 20, but at least we should have enough leeway as to increase the numbers. So we will now vote on site and also online. Any votes against these two changes in the bylaws? Abstentions? Then this is approved. At least in the room. I would also like to indicate those who are following the meeting online to vote as well. I would like to ask them to vote too. There is one abstention, and that's something new. As long as it's not against, we'll be happy. I think that there is enough votes as to approve this. Next item is the submission of the yearly P&L and the approval of the new budget. Thank you very much, Enrique and Pau. Thanks for having shared all these years since the inception of Barcelona Global. It wasn't that easy, and we are quite impressed at the moment. I would also like to thank all the team at Barcelona Global, as well as the Poble Espanyol, who've helped us so dearly to organize this event with the distances, the social distancing, the sanitizer, water thermometer, without air conditioning, all those things that usually help us set up this kind of events. And we were discussing with Dr. Tabernero that we will probably have to get used to doing things in this way. That's why we wanted to organize an event like this and make it on site, because we also need to reflect upon the fact that many of these institutions are having a rough time. So here we are, keeping distances with numbered seats and so on, and we're here gathered for a new assembly, a new change of chairperson, and we are starting with good news to start with. So we have reached the bar of 1,000 members, 1,019 actually, and this is a great success. Of course, we cannot all be here together, but this is a proof that we are doing things well, and that our proposals are coming strong. And probably the challenge is not going to be so much to keep on growing, but rather to stay strong, right, Aurora? And to stay useful to the city of Barcelona. Something which is not going to be easy at the moment. And how can we prove useful to Barcelona? Well, surely with our proposals, we will go over them, and also through our actions, through the make it happen that Marianne created at some point. Fem Capacity in Catalan. And, well, I think the best possibility is to bring together what I need to do at the moment, which is to submit the P&L and the budget and the management report. You received all this data, the budget and the audited accounts and so on last week. So I have two options. Either I show you, I go through all the detail of the accounts and so on, or else that's going to take 35 minutes, or else I will make a summary, and that's going to take 5 minutes. Yeah, okay. So let's first of all talk about the rates. We have 1,000 members, 1 million euros of income, which is related to the fees our members pay to be a member of Barcelona Global. Because to make things happen, we need to have income, revenue for the association. And if we want Barcelona Global to do things, we need to have this income. And that's why we have members and people who are committed, who bring in ideas, time, the hours, the contacts, the influence and the energy. But what's most important at the moment is the yearly fee, which is reflected here. It's 59% of our income. 50-odd% comes from our protector members, and 26% is the basic corporate protector members, cultural institutions, research centers, entrepreneurs, universities, business schools, and smaller companies. And 164,000 euros come from these 300 euro contributions made by members. These are, well, a trickling of 300 euros that come from the individual members who are putting their trust in Barcelona Global, and who also bring in their time, their energy, their effort, their contacts, and their contributions. And what do we do with our fees? Well, we are paying for an extraordinary team: Ana, Cristina, Laura, Valeria, Serrat, Ana Colomina, Irene. You know them all. They're all around here, and they help us hugely with these resources we pay for this structure. We also fund the venue you will have to come to know, which allows us to relate to each other and to work well in our association. Communication, explaining what we do, who we are, and our day-to-day expenses. Without these fees, we're nothing. Let me repeat that. We are just a group of people full of good intentions, all very nice, who intends to do things. But unless we have these fees and an organization behind it, it's going to be really difficult to make things happen. And that's extremely important, especially at this point in time, that we should be strong. And this is the strength of the association, the number of members and the fees. But besides that, Barcelona Global is extremely happy because it is also committed with projects to make it happen. And this is funded through extraordinary contributions. And if we want to have Barcelona Overtura and the Spring Festival and so on, it is because Liceu and Palau de la Música and other institutions are making this happen. And with Ramon Ajenjo, we are bringing this project forward. And along with the City Council of Barcelona and the tourist tax, we make this festival an opportunity. And the same thing goes for other projects. Same thing we've done the same thing with Agenda Barcelona. We've managed to organize a press deck on the international reputation campaign for Barcelona. So because these companies we see on the screen are making this happen. So Hola Cocktail, Hola Barcelona, this is all funded through the extraordinary contributions of the organizations. So we have the fees plus the extraordinary contributions, and we are closing the year with about 2 million euros of income. And we also have the P&L for association like ours. One of the things that we are required to offer is maximum austerity, but also maximum impact, and that's what we are trying to achieve. Last year we had a surplus. What do we do with this surplus? We devote this, as you can see in the slide, to create a fund which was 400,000 euros in December, and now in May it's 520,000 euros, and these extra contributions are located in this fund so that Barcelona Global, in the case of an extraordinary situation or an important project that we would like to be engaged in, could be brought forward. And this is managed by the honorary president and the current chairman at Barcelona Global. This year, with the virus and with COVID, we have also established a contingency plan to avoid being caught in surprise. But the best contingency plan is counting on members' contributions. It's been extraordinary that in the middle of the lockdown in March and April, when we didn't know where to go or where we were going, some members continued to help us. So Mira, for instance, went from corporate member to corporate protector member. Sab, Corman Clark, and others have also contributed to Barcelona Global. Filming. One of the members of Barcelona Global has added this, Jordi Reruela, Barcelona Cruïlla as well. Members of Barcelona Global and so on. Medictor, telediagnostic, which does medical diagnostic techniques. Sumarroca has also become a protective member, and well, that means that we are doing really well. And the best contingency plan for Barcelona Global is to have more contributions, more members, and more enthusiasm. And these are the new corporate protector members and new corporate members. And I don't like talking about numbers, but this is just a result of your commitment, of your activities, both the structural ones in the association and those who are linked to projects. So let me tell you about our balance sheet and financial statements. They have been audited by Grant Thornton, and we have this audit which allows us to be extremely transparent and accountable. It helps us manage things better because, well, auditing standards evolve and they help us manage our resources much better on a day-to-day basis. So these are our financial statements and balance sheet, and this is complemented with our management report, our yellow report. I could bore you with this long list of strategic proposals and executive projects, as well as strategic thinking that we have at Barcelona Global, but I think I won't bore you with this. And instead of reading this, let's focus on a few items which need to be underlined from this last couple of years, which have been so intense. The first thing we need to explain is why we do what we do. First of all, we need to say that we do what you, members of Barcelona Global, propose us to do. What you are, after what you tell us we should do. And we try to achieve it, we submit it to your vote, and we are not doing what myself, Marianne, Aurora, or Pau says we should do, but we rather say what the members of Barcelona Global and its executive committee decides we need to do. That is exactly what you propose, and we, the team, try to do things as best as we can and as easy to implement as we can along with you, because we all believe, and I think you do too, you vehemently believe that this is what Barcelona needs, and it needs it to turn Barcelona into one of the best cities in the world for talent and economic activity. So we're doing what we want as members, but also because Barcelona needs it. And what does Barcelona need? It's so clear to us. It needs talent. Barcelona has a huge opportunity to bring talent in, but we know, because all the 12 lawyers offices have helped us identify that the tax regime does not help us, and the Secretary of State of the tax authorities know that, and the Catalan government knows that, and our tax regime doesn't help us and to bring talent in or to foster the startup and scale up ecosystem in Barcelona. We need to change that if we want to give them a boost. And while we discuss this, cities such as Amsterdam, Zurich, Berlin, or Milano, or Lisbon never stop, and they do things and they go work around the clock, and we're still at the stage of proposals. And these cities offer tax incentives to their entrepreneurs, and they offer, for instance, an income tax to foreign professionals which is much more favorable than ours. Or maybe these cities do not have wealth tax that many of the foreigners don't understand why they need to pay for. And so that's why we're putting pressure on the issue of taxes and tax regimes. Another element is schools. Without English-speaking schools, accessible and affordable international schools around Barcelona, the talent we want to attract will hardly come. If you are a creative person, if you're an artist, a researcher who wants to come to ICFO, or a doctor, or an investor, or an entrepreneur for Tech City who can choose to go to Amsterdam or to Barcelona, and finding a school for their children is an issue, what will they choose? They won't choose Barcelona because it doesn't have an affordable or accessible international school. Amsterdam does, we don't. And Barcelona has been knowing this for a long time. In the last couple of years, we have drafted a business plan with figures, and we know what is needed, what it takes, and that's why we have this picture here. We're identifying the necessary land to build this international school we all want to, and we're working along with the Barcelona City Council to do so. We also know that how annoying it is, how irritating it is to get your ID card in Barcelona. Gonzalo opened the path with this topic, and it's been so for years, and it's a pain. We're telling the government representatives, and we have a plan, we have a project to create a structure as Stockholm, Copenhagen, or The Hague have created an office where they can handle international talent much more swiftly. We were being told by the Secretary of the Universities how difficult it is for them to manage all of the ID cards for the British teachers in Barcelona who are now in a different situation due to Brexit. We also know that we need to do other things. That's why we created this School for Industrial Technologies and Economic Analysis along with Joaquín Coello and the Polytechnic University of Barcelona and the Pompeu Fabra University. We are now opening up the third degree for the School of Engineering and Economic Analysis. The students who will start with the third year, thanks to the grants offered by Banc Sabadell, Agroliment, and Repsol grants, will be able to study in Lausanne, Delft, Aachen, or Göteborg the third year. And those people with one more year, they will also be able to get the degree from Lille, Nantes, Marseille, or École Centrale de Paris. So this is another make it happen that we have achieved in the last couple of years. Another topic we've always been concerned about is our reputation as a city, the Barcelona brand, and how the world sees us. And we are happy because people love us. The world is in love with Barcelona, with Barça, with the Sagrada Familia, our beaches, restaurants, and so on. We're happy with that, but we want more. We want more. We want to be known by research, entrepreneurship, universities, industry, research. We want people to know that we can work from Barcelona to the world. And thanks to the Agenda Barcelona project in the last years, we have invested a lot in bringing foreign journalists to Barcelona. And we are now beginning to have an impact in the media in Zurich, Mexico, Frankfurt, the United States, who are again talking about the innovative research architecture Barcelona, which is what really makes us more interesting, and not fires in the street and political discussions, all these things that make us small and that the world is underlining because they prefer to show off themselves. And thanks to the Barcelona Press Desk and our Instagram channel, we try to emphasize the positivity of Barcelona, of that Barcelona we love. More things, investment. Tomorrow we are going to sign an agreement with the Barcelona City Council to support Barcelona and partners. So we've been talking about this for a while, and it is becoming a reality. Barcelona and Partners intends to be an agency to attract events and investments to Barcelona, a public-private partnership in Amsterdam, Berlin, and London. They've had this for years. Barcelona doesn't have such an institution, and Barcelona is not going out to seek this investment. And in Barcelona Global, we have really been stubborn about that, and we have already started. And I was at Barcelona, Quatre Casas Sabadell, and Puig are helping us take off. And the City Council of Barcelona will join us tomorrow. And we already have the director, or the project director, which is Agustí Cordón. Who better than Agustí Cordón to be behind this project, pushing the project? And in terms of members, we know that these associations, this is something that Maria and Emily emphasized, this needs to be a cross-cutting organization. It doesn't need to be a bunch of friends who all know each other. It needs to be very diverse. That's why you will find people from culture, science, research, and so on, very, very diverse members. But let's insist that those who love Barcelona but live outside of Barcelona, they should also be members of Barcelona International Council. And the nice thing about COVID is that it allows us to do this, to stream this event. So those from Miami, Singapore, San Francisco can be seeing us and joining us in this meeting. That's interesting. This is the International Council, 133 members at the moment, or the Barcelonians by choice, those who have decided to come and move to Barcelona and live here, or the MBA students, 600 MBA students who come every year to IESE, ESADE, or EADA, and we'll help them get to know the city through their companies. And we recently started this project, Barcelona 2040. The second edition is going to be called Barcelona 2041 because the purpose is to identify 24, 25 young rising stars from Barcelona, so that in 20 years' time, when they are 40-odd years old, they will be leading the association and the city, and for a number of sessions they will get to know Barcelona much better than many of us actually do. And the last thing we have done, we've emphasized in the last months, is a study on what Barcelona needs to have affordable housing, public-private partnerships, and so on. And we have found out lots of different things. You have documents about this, so I will not dwell on that. Just a couple of topics that we have been working on. We know that without economic activity, without businesses, without jobs, the Barcelona city center will become gentrified and will start going downhill. So that's why we have made a proposal to reactivate, re-economize the Barcelona city center. Thanks to Cushman & Wakefield, for instance, we have realized that at the city center there are 243,000 square meters which are empty at the moment. 243,000 square meters which are buildings which are currently empty or underused in the city of Barcelona. This is a luxury we cannot afford, and we would like to propose this to become co-working spaces so that talent comes back to the Barcelona city center and that talent shines again in the city, in the central streets of Barcelona. And we're also working on mobility, which is a very topical issue. There's plenty of controversy about this. There aren't that many proposals, and we at Barcelona Global, we put together RAC, Saba, Globe, Avertis, Renfe, Acutra, to propose, and many others, to propose a number of possibilities on how to make Barcelona more sustainable and how to improve metropolitan mobility. And we are proposing this for September, not only to hear, but also to watch a film that has been organized with MediaPro and with the Zona Franca, the Barcelona Free Trade Area Consortium, and Aigües de Barcelona. And this is a film I would like to thank Tacho from MediaPro. We will be bringing a very important message to the city through the voices of a number of people. All this stopped economic development proposals. We have the Zona Franca, Vallès, the Three Chimneys, La Sagrera, and many other projects. And we're trying to make this synthetic to bring to everyone the idea that Barcelona cannot stop, and it has plenty of projects in the pipeline, and they need to move up the scale. So we are trying to we have tried I have tried to synthesize the budget, the financial statements, the balance sheet, and the yearly report. And now it's time to give the floor to our chairperson, Pau Guardans. The second item on the agenda was to approve the financial statements, balance sheet, and management report. Was this. We are going to vote like in previous occasions, but I am being told that we don't give them enough time. We don't give them enough time for them to press the buttons, so we will wait for a little bit longer. Let me first of all ask if, for those in the room, are there any votes against or abstentions for the approval of the financial statement, the budget, and the management report? And then we will wait for a little bit longer for those who need to vote online. Can we watch the little video clip? Well, we can show a few slides maybe during the voting. That's what we could do for the next occasion. Maybe show some slides while we wait for those who are connected online to vote. Do not close the voting, please. Leave it open for a while longer, for a little longer. As far as we can see, this has already been approved. Let's move on to the next item on the agenda, but let's leave the voting open for the next 30 seconds. This is the management report so far, and let me thank you. Let me insist on the fact that we are doing this because we love Barcelona and we want the best for Barcelona, and with a very moving. On a moving and personal note, we know that every 2 years we need to change our chairperson. What an idea you had! What an idea you had, because you're all very happy here, but, well, the team keeps on working. We have lived, we have enjoyed all the presidents and chairpersons of Barcelona Global. This is a great luxury for the team to have been able to meet you, all those who have, having worked with all the chairpersons that we have seen in Barcelona Global, and it's been the case for Pau Guardans as well, who's our outgoing chairpersons, and for all of those, especially those who work at Barcelona Global, all ladies except for me, we all would like to thank you for your leadership, Pau. It's been fantastic. I know that he's going to stay with us. We are really, really stubborn. He's been a person who's got the highest sense of responsibility, from the biggest to the smallest thing. And you know that he's done a lot. He's helped us all grow. Therefore, a big thank you, Pau. Good afternoon to you all. Thank you for being here. I thank all the members who've been here. I know that the setup is a little bit uncomfortable. I would also like to thank those who are connected online, and I would also like to thank all the guests who've come here, who've come this afternoon to share yet another General Assembly, so that you can get to know a little bit better what Barcelona Global is. And on a personal note, I'm happy to see you here in my last farewell speech, but also to welcome Aurora and her team in this new path that she's starting. 2 years ago, I received a wonderful legacy from Gonzalo Rodés, and I really thank him for that. And I need to express my gratitude not only to Gonzalo and those who, before him, from the presidency of Barcelona Global and the executive committees, offered their intelligence, their good judgment, commitment, and their time to turn Barcelona Global into what it is at the moment, a private, independent, and indispensable platform with over 1,000 members to turn Barcelona into one of the best cities around the world, to attract talent and economic activity. Those who have been members of the executive committee that I had the privilege and the honor of presiding over the last over the last 2 years knew that these were going to be very intense years. The Barcelona we found in the late 2017, the feeling that the city project had to be revamped confirmed it. But I did not expect that Barcelona would go through such intense times as a city over these 2 years. 2 years where we have sadly seen images in the streets of Barcelona which we would have never thought earlier. 2 years which are concluding now with a brutal economic and health crisis which is affecting the whole planet and has an unknown scope. In this last couple of years, Mateo has already taken stock of what we have done in terms of proposals to improve the city, projects to rebuild our reputation and to foster talent, to attract economic activities and investment, and actions to create more cohesion among the members and the association. I must humbly say that all the executive committee members have been up to our commitments. I think that we received a wonderful legacy, and we can pass it down to the next group, so they can continue working in good conditions for Barcelona. But we are now facing exceptional challenges, and these are very, very grave times, and we have a great opportunity ahead of us. In 10 years down the road, when we look at what we're seeing at the moment, what we're living at the moment, we will realize that there are some winners and some losers. And in a world of cities where Barcelona stands on an equal footing in the starting grid, because this crisis has hit us all very hard, it is high time to remember a few things. What is a city? Why are cities important? Cities are much more than a territory, or a brand, or a postcard, or a crowd of people. A city is a space where each individual can turn his life project into reality, including livelihood, a house, family, friends, entertainment, all those things that define us as persons. Cities are nowadays the first frontier where human beings need to face the basic challenges of our times. As we all know, Barcelona is a global city, admired around the world, because for many years it has offered many people the possibility to develop their vital project in reasonably good conditions for success, and that creates the pride of being from Barcelona that we all feel when we travel around the world. But this 30-year-old dream needs to be renewed. It needs to be fed more energy so that it can continue for the coming generation. Our new project for the city needs to be more inclusive and more respectful with the environment, and it needs to place scientific development, education, culture at the center. It needs to place at the center all those topics which define a city as a city for talent, because that is the raw material we have chosen to build our future from. We are facing huge challenges. We need to combine economic growth and social inclusion, but let's not be fooled. In a fully democratic society such as ours, there's no contradiction in this. It's not either this or that. We need to foster economic growth as a necessary precondition to create a stable life, and it needs to be inclusive, and it needs to be done with full respect for our environment. But slowing down economic activity, decreasing, going back, and negative growth cannot be a possible path. Hindering economic activities will not make us more inclusive. It will not favor the environment. It will only make us poorer. And that doesn't solve anything. It only aggravates all our problems. Besides, all successful cities in the world, and Barcelona is one of them, are facing very similar challenges. As winning citizens, the key is in the answer we provide to these challenges. We at Barcelona Global believe that the answer is extremely clear. And it doesn't consist in believing that we are what we are not are, or not imposing magical solutions to the cities. I think that the solution lays in finding private and public collaborations. Politics should be where the citizens' problems are solved, and if that is shown clearly, that is shown even more clearly in the cities. So what we really need is more Barcelona, more of what has turned it into an admired city around the world. We need to renew our project with more ambition. We need to be more relevant around the world. We need to understand that whatever we do needs to be socially inclusive and needs to be environmentally friendly. Our thrive should be built on 4 pillars. First, a swift, agile city which works with less hurdles, a city which promotes economic activity and creativity, where basic issues such as sanitation, health, safety, security, cleaning will work impeccably. Second pillar needs to be a city which can manage its assets much better. As Mateo said, we at Barcelona Global have contributed with very good ideas, which are the result of thoughts of many members on how to improve tourism, how to achieve more sustainable housing, how to promote public-private partnerships in culture, health, research, smart cities, how to promote the entrepreneurial activity we want, how to attract activities, economic activity to the citizens of Barcelona. These have been cross-cutting proposals without which compile the best international practices, which do not appeal to budgets, but rather to leadership and management. Thirdly, as a city, we have identified the sectors where we need to grow more. Higher education, industry, healthcare, science. We want to be a city with a very powerful economic component, being a digital capital. Let's go for that. Let's go for that full steam, but not in exchange for what we do. We need to add more layers, and that's our strength. And I'm sure that we at Barcelona Global we will continue to offer specific proposals to develop this kind of Barcelona. And finally, we need to bring down the barriers. 160 years we brought down the Roman walls of Barcelona, and today's Barcelona is the legacy of those citizens. Our governance is currently our city walls. What slows us down is our scale. Only if we have a fully metropolitan dimension, we will be able to solve the challenges of the environment, housing, and education, and so on. Carlos Ruiz Zafón, who unfortunately left us this year, said that whoever doesn't know where he's going is not going to get anywhere. That's not our case. We know very well where we want to end up, and we know what kind of global city we want. So Barcelona Global will continue working to table proposals, solutions to make this happen, to make it happen, as we all say. And I am sure that Aurora Catà and her team will lead the association in this rough time and will do that with a wise hand. So I would like to ask you to vote for her candidacy, as the executive committee and the supervisory board already did. I am convinced that Aurora and her new executive committee will bring the best times to the Barcelona Global Association by helping and supporting the city. And I will conclude by expressing my gratitude, first of all, to the executive committee members who've been working with me. It's been an honor and a privilege to work with you. I would also like to thank the extraordinary team of Barcelona Global for your drive and your great task. I would also like to thank the members for having given me the privilege of presiding over this association in the last couple of years. And I would also like to thank my family for all the time that I've taken away from them on these years. Thank you, and long live Barcelona. Aurora, before you address the assembly, I would like you to present your executive committee. Thank you very much for your support. Only the executive committee, because they need to vote on this. Good afternoon. As Pau said, let me introduce those who are going to be walking the path with me as members of the executive committee. First of all, Uriol Barrachina, executive partner of Spain at Cushman and Wakefield. Maite Barrera, founding partner at Blue Cap. Carmina Gagnet, who's a corporate general director at Colonial. Teresa Garcia Milá, general director of the Barcelona Graduate School of Economics. Ana Godó, editor at Vanguardia Dossier and Books. Teresa Jama, who's a GSMA general manager. Sergi Longley, who's the director of Prospective Thoughts and Palau Macaya at Fundació La Caixa. Montse Martínez Parera, who's the head of public affairs and chairman's office at CaixaBank. Andreu Mascullell, who's the president of the Barcelona Institute of Science and Technology. Clara Navarro, co-founder and co-CEO of Ship2B. Jaume Oliu, director, head of strategy of Banco de Sabadell. Oscar Pierre, CEO and founder of Globo. Marcel Prunera, partner at Crea Inversión. Marcel Rafart, co-founder and executive chairman of Galdana Ventures. Josep Tabernero, director of the Valldebron Oncology Institute. Luis Tourné, who is the director of ICFO, and Isabel Vidal, who is the general manager at Focus. Should I stay here? As you prefer, while they vote. So now let's vote for Aurora's candidacy as the upcoming chairperson at Barcelona Global herself, as president, as well as the executive committee she proposes. For those who are against or would like to abstain, please raise your hand. Again, votes against or abstentions, raise your hands. In the meanwhile, I hope that in this fourth vote, those who are connected online can vote as well. Agustin, how's this going? Remote votes. This is the final day. It's the first time that we're using this system, and it's the last time that I'm here as a secretary. So the coordination is not seamless. And here we have the brain of the system who's helping us. And well, Foncuberta and others will have to work on this to understand the ins and outs of the system. Remote votes. Doing well. This is a very important item on the agenda. A little bit more important than changing the address in the bylaws. So we will leave a little bit more time for everyone to cast their votes. Agustin, can you show me the voting? It's up there already? Okay, overall, we have 200 votes for, 0 against, 3 abstentions. 265 members are present, so the quorum is there. But what's important is that we have 265 members, and Aurora Catà is therefore chosen the new president of Barcelona Global. It's high time for me now. It's my turn now. First of all, I would like to thank Pau for his trust and the outgoing executive committee for having proposed to me as the incoming chairperson, and also the advisory council, the advisory board for having proposed me, and to all of you for having chosen me as new chairperson for Barcelona Global. It's a great challenge and a great responsibility to be able to work in this with a wonderful team that you know, and to start working, well, to continue working and even harder for Barcelona, and to do so from a privileged institution such as Barcelona Global. And I need to start acknowledging the task carried out in the last couple of years by the outgoing governing body. Lots of things have been done, and they've been done really well. So, Pau, you left a very high bar. However, this would have not been possible without the vision of Maria Rech. She identified the need to renew all of our commitments to design a new narrative for Barcelona. And Joaquín Coello, who was the first chairperson of the association, she convinced him to bring together civil society in such an agile way. Emilio Cuatrecasas also set the foundations for the association. He defined the first bylaws and a way of working, which is extremely participatory, inclusive, cross-cutting, and so on. And Maria Puig, who coined the phrase "make it happen" and promoted some of the flagship projects of Barcelona Global and started to get things going. Gonzalo, with his vision and with his ambition too, achieved a quantum leap with more projection and with the takeoff of many of the activities which have become a classic in an organization. And Pau had to pilot the ship in very difficult times, and he was able to turn many of the projects into specific things with the recognition and the influence capacity that Barcelona Global currently has, and has shown great dedication and skills in his presidency. I would like to thank all the prior presidents because they have turned Barcelona into a referent for anything that can place Barcelona at the center and foster its ambition in all fields. Let me address you for the first time. Most of you are people I know, but most of you are actually showing your trust in me and the executive committee that I have presented. The last 12 years I've devoted to working as a headhunter, trying to find the best profiles for people that I was asked to find. Financial managers, communication managers, CEOs, presidents, councillors, and advisors at different corporations, and so on. And as a professional in this field, I know that when you are trying to find a candidate, you need to understand very clearly what the position at hand entails, what is required for the position. So I need to understand very clearly what I can offer to the Barcelona Global Organization. I'm an industrial engineer. I got my degree at the Polytechnic University of Barcelona, and we tend to be able to add, detract, multiply, and divide. It's more difficult for me to see what quite a bit means, but we are geared at solving complex situations, and Barcelona, of course, it's finding itself in a complex situation, an economic crisis created by the pandemics, which will lead to poverty, inequality, and a huge frustration, as well as a very critical situation for many people, and an action-oriented profile such as mine, a person who's keen on solving complex problems, such as an engineer, can be useful to the Barcelona Global Association, an association whose motto is "Make it happen." My first relevant labor organization was as financial director at Nissan, at difficult times too. And I understood how important industry is for Barcelona. I understood how important industrial jobs are for our economy, how important foreign investment is for our future. And I would like to think this experience can be put at the service of Barcelona and of Barcelona Global. Understanding the industrial sector in Barcelona and having lived how international investment works can help us attract new investments now. investments which need to be sustainable, green, high quality, and forward thinking. Then I was lucky to spend some extraordinary times as manager of the Spanish television in Catalonia. It was a period of change where new television channels were appearing. It was the start of the multimedia technology and digital revolution, and from then for 15 years, I had the opportunity of being close to the world, to the media at Planeta, Antena 3, Recoletos Group, and I hope that this experience in the media, this experience with communication in capital letters, can be placed at the service of Barcelona, because the city needs to present itself and to explain itself to the world. Barcelona is a city which has an extraordinary reputation of a city to come, enjoy, and live in, but it also needs to be acknowledged and well known as a city to invest, to work, to do research, create, and to do business. I hope my experience can bring to this association, which has lobbying and communication, one of the best tools at hand, can be useful. As I said, I've been working as a headhunter at Seeliger y Conde, which was one of the founding members of Barcelona Global, and I think that selecting talent, working with diverse talent from here and from around the world, can be extremely useful to an association which is marked by the important that it has, how important it is to attract talent. An association which wants to incorporate and integrate Barcelonians by choice, and who through its international councils wants to bring together those who love Barcelona but are not here. Through the 2040 initiative, wants to look forward to the future and wants to add entrepreneurs, artists, cooks, enologists, managers, scholars, researchers, and so on. I hope my experience as a headhunter will help us increase the base of this institution and make us even more cross-cutting and numerous. I also had the opportunity of acting as a counselor and advisor in a number of corporations such as Avui, Banc de Sabadell, and A3 Media. This helps you develop strategic thinking and be more action-oriented. What's most important about a council is making things happen, and I hope that I can also offer the same to Barcelona Global to help make things happen. We at Barcelona Global are very clear about the things that need to be done. The list is long: public-private partnership, as affordable housing, tourism, talent attraction, mobility, city planning, or entrepreneurship. And making things happen is our focus. That's our great tool. And the second question any headhunter asks for any project is, what can the company I am going to be working for offer? What is this company's mission, its purpose? So I wondered, what does Barcelona Global mean? I know this association in and out. I was in the first executive commissions with in the first couple of them. I am familiar with how excited we were at the inception of this organization, and I am aware of how hard it was to come to where we stand at the moment. If this association did not exist, it would have to be created to involve the committed people such as you are, because it is action-oriented, because it is project-oriented, because it has a mid and long-term focus in a world which is too focused on tweets and short terms. It is a transformative, agile, research-seeking entrepreneur association. It is open, flexible, and it has become a benchmark. And as such, we have the huge responsibility of helping Barcelona turn into a benchmark for European cities. We know what we should do and how to do it. We need to keep on working as we have so far. We need to think strategically about mobility, tourism, sports, culture, entrepreneurship, talent, or research. And we need to involve everyone. We all need to get involved, and we need to entice all around us to make proposals and to offer feasible and useful proposals. We need to make things happen. We need to make what we want happen. We need to turn Barcelona into the best city for talent and entrepreneurship. I will not repeat what we want to do. You are all familiar with it, and it has been mentioned. But let me go over the most important priorities for the future. First of all, the Barcelonian partners. We have a list of people committed, led by Mr. Cordon, and the commitment of the Barcelona City Council to get really involved in it. Barcelona and partners will be useful to attract economic activities and investment, and that will turn Barcelona into a better city with job creation and more opportunities to its citizens. The best recipe against frustration, unemployment, and poverty, which will stem out of this crisis, will be to bring in more investment and economic activities, and therefore more jobs to the city. If the industrial crisis of the 1970s and 80s led to a reinvention of Barcelona and an internationalization of the city with the takeoff of tourism and German, American, and Japanese investments, HP, Sony, Volkswagen, and many others. We now need to identify new global champions who are based on talents and who turn Barcelona into their landing base. This is what Barcelona and partners will try to do. Barcelona also needs to be a benchmark in international education. 50 years ago, some pioneering entrepreneurs created ESADE and ESE and proved that Barcelona can be a top-notch city for executive manager. EADA and other research centers prove that if we want to make it, we can make it. That's why we can expect to become one of the global training centers for higher education. So we have a good ground to build from. We have good professionals. We have good infrastructure. We have the attraction to lure people in. And we also have the Brexit and some borders who are being closed. And we also know that the middle classes are increasingly seeing education as the best challenge for the best opportunity for their children. So we need to compete with Oxbridge, Copenhagen, Amsterdam, Singapore, or Australia. The third important project is Barcelona as a city for talent. We need to turn Barcelona into a cosmopolitan city. Talent attracts capital in a more sustainable and long-term way, and not the other way around. We know what it takes. We need to have a safe city, which is easy, where making procedures are easy, where taxation is at least neutral, where you can have education in English, which is sustainable with a good quality cultural offer and entertainment offer. We have many assets, but some things are missing. For instance, procedures or international schools. Having accessible and affordable international schools, or the tax regime, which doesn't attract talent. Having a safe city is also one of the challenges. We need to be a friendly, good quality city, but we also need to be flexible, open to business, ideas, creativity. We need to be flexible in schedules, opening times, town planning, mobility. We need to be agile. We need to be responsive to people's demands. We need to be attentive to their needs. We need to be safe, orderly, clean. And if we manage things properly, we will make it. And we will be winners in this crisis. Barcelona is also a city for projects. Let's recover our dreams, our big projects. What do we have here? La Sagrera, the Underground Line 9 project. And what's the situation for many of these projects? They have stalled. There are no calendars. Nobody dares to give deadlines. So let's start drafting a schedule. let's give challenges and deadlines to global investments. Barcelona is not finished yet. There's a lot to be done. You will be able to watch this film that Mateu mentioned. You will probably see that on Catalan television. We have the Three Chimneys, Bon Pastor. The city centre needs to be recovered. There are plenty of things to be done. And we need to mention you all. We need to mention our members, those who live in Barcelona Global, who make so many contributions to Barcelona Global. That's one of our best. That's one of my best priorities. You have different profiles, different backgrounds. I'm sure we are going to have great fun, and we will continue smiling while we do things. Regarding the executive committee, I've already introduced it. I will not read all their names again. But let me say that the ExCom is extremely committed to the projects that I mentioned. It wants to lead the city, transform it, and to accelerate the future we want for Barcelona. Let me express my gratitude to the task carried out by Luis Seguí, Ana Gené, Ana Mitjans, and José María Piera for their huge work, and I count on your complicity and your involvement in Barcelona Global Project. Barcelona is currently going through a very difficult period. The virus adds on to the political instability. We are now coming on to a new crisis. There's a lack of powerful projects, and there's a feeling that everything is so hard to achieve. We at Barcelona Global will be supporting the best in the city. We are going to be attentive and sensitive to our social commitment, making things happen and building the city that we want for all of us. So let's make it happen. Thank you. Thank you very much, Aurora. Before we conclude the assembly, I would like to offer the floor in case there are any questions or comments, either here or among the participants who have joined us online. Any comments from the floor? Valeria, anyone would like to take the floor online? If there are no further items on the agenda. Wait a second. My apologies. Yeah, is that so? Let me thank you all for having been here, and let me remind you that when you leave at the exit, when you leave this venue to the left, there's going to be some drinks for you. Keep social distancing though. Thank you very much. Have a good afternoon. Thank you.